Are you a human being? Are you also a Browns fan? Well, if you said yes to both of those things, then there's a good chance you're probably a little tired of our local Cleveland Brown sports media. Same old thing, day after day, night after night. It's time to hang the cleats up. It's time to pass the torch. If you're looking for something fun, something fresh, something where four people literally smack themselves in the face over and over with hot take after hot take, then my boys at Down with the Browns is where you want to be. It's just good for your soul. Available on Apple Podcast, YouTube, and Twitter. Getting down with the Browns.
And welcome back to another episode of Down with the Browns, baby.
Let's go, baby! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go!
What's
Sorry
up,
to Philly. Sorry to Philly. Shout out to the Philadelphia Eagles. They tried. They
You
tried.
let them down, man.
Yeah. It was a good Super Bowl. It was a good game. Did you guys enjoy the game?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It wasn't bad. Although, like as my name says, James Bradbury did not hold. Although he admitted he was kind enough to say it. But the reason you're going to say stuff like that is because you know the whole world knows you didn't hold. You didn't hold. You didn't hold. You don't make that call if you're a ref in the Super Bowl. You barely call penalties all game. You don't make that call. Juju should. The ball wasn't even near Juju. If the ball was near Juju, you got me caught. It's already the beginning of the show, and I'm already going off. But if the ball was close enough to Juju Smith-Schuster, that's when you make the call. That's when you make the call. But you to make it there, I mean, I don't know. But that's Patty Mahomes for you. That's Patty Mahomes. They got a second ring. Congratulations, Patrick. Second ring. Great. The NFL script was written. So, hey,
Okay.
Good game.
Okay.
Good game.
Okay.
Good halftime show.
So
Shout out to Rihanna. Shout out to Riri,
so-
by the way.
Oh, absolutely. That's kind of crazy. Considering the fact that she's pregnant, she did all that. Like,
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah.
It was
I had no
great.
idea.
Played her old hits, her new stuff. Well, relatively new stuff.
Yeah.
By the way, have you guys seen the internet backlash with her being pregnant? Everybody's like, "Oh my God, she's not going to write a new album," as if she wasn't doing like features and stuff. Like,
Yeah,
come on.
she will be coming out
Yeah.
with some music. I'm surprised
Yeah.
she didn't say any preview, any new songs or anything like that. I thought she was going to do something like that, but
No,
nothing new from Riri. She has an extensive hits list. I was surprised. I kept forgetting. I was like, wow, these are banger after banger, and I'm like, man, she was in a lot of songs. So that's Riri. That's Riri.
Yeah,
I'm-
and
I'm-
she was also in the Fashion Killer music video.
Yes,
by
yes,
Rocky.
yes.
And then that's how they've been. So apparently and I found this out like months ago.
Mhm.
They've been canoodling for like a while now. I mean, good for them.
Yeah, good for them.
You know?
I don't know if it's the second child. I think it's the second child. I don't know.
Is it?
But it was great. I'm pretty sure. It might be the first. I don't know.
All
Somebody
I'm
got to throw it out for me. But a great halftime show. Fantastic halftime show. Second half kind of blew up in the Eagles' face. Andy Reid is that guy. He's Himothy for sure. So I just kind of want your guys' Super Bowl thoughts. What your thoughts were on that game, if you enjoyed it or not. So Matt, go ahead. What do you your initial thoughts here?
So let's get the initial thoughts out of the way. The reason why I said PTO Buffalo is because I'm hungover. Now I knew this ahead of time. Yeah, I called for this day off. I was prepared. But in terms of the actual Super Bowl, it's pretty mind-boggling how many people were upset with the penalty, as if there wasn't a whole other 59 minutes of football that determined the outcome of this game. If we're being honest, okay, so you have the Jalen Hurts, which by the way, for 98% of the
I didn't know that. Thank you so much.
I did not
Andrew.
know that.
I didn't know
I
that.
did not know
So
that.
this might be a second child.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I feel like the math adds up there.
Yeah.
But so you have the Jalen Hurts fumble, which for 95% of the game he was playing very well. Yeah, his accuracy was great. His running ability, extending he did everything great, but he just dropped the football once. It was a 7-point swing. Is nobody talking about how the Chiefs ran the same play twice in the red zone? Both resulted in a TD. The fake motion from the outside, and then as soon as the ball snapped, they're going to run a zig or cut outwards, and they were wide open both times. So, now you have 21 points that had absolutely nothing to do with the penalty. Philly didn't get to the quarterback, And Patrick Mahomes ran for 26 yards on one ankle.
Yeah. How do you?
Ankle
How
where
on
he
earth do you
was
let that happen?
hobbling around. He was hobbling around, man. Like you know it. I mean, granted, did he maybe have a cortisone shot? He probably got that ankle retaped for like the 9th time. But you can't talk about how great your defense has been all year, and then in the biggest moment of the game, not one person could generate pressure. The Chiefs' offensive line is pretty great, but
But they should not be holding up that well versus the Eagles.
Well,
they should not be holding up that well versus the Eagles.
They were giving up the intermediate routes. There was no pressure, no blitzing, and they were giving up the small stuff.
Shout out to Bird and Matty B on Twitter. They're saying, "What's up?" Matty B says, "What's up, Matt?
What's up, guys?
What up, KFC?" And Matty B says, "What's good, fellas? Keep doing your thing." Thanks. And sorry to interrupt you, Mac, but go ahead. But you're right. That's a good point.
You know what I mean? And it's just like, what is the penalty you have to do with you giving up a 10-point lead? So,
go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. I'll let you finish.
It's just like, granted, is it a ticky-tack call? Yes. But will they call that every single time? Absolutely. You got your waist around him. I don't understand. These coaches, they don't teach holding. It's not just a saying. They don't teach holding. They don't do it on offense. I mean, a little bit on defensive line, but that's a completely different story. But in terms of, being physical with a wide receiver, you gotta lock. You don't grab.
Yeah.
You don't grab.
Yeah. Matty B says on Twitter, he says, it'll be nice to see that arrow route ran in our offense next year, Mac. So, I don't know if you wanted to say anything.
So, yeah, I can't believe I didn't. It just completely went over my head. But yeah, it's little wrinkles like that. They ran a fullback counter where they didn't even pull a single lineman. Andy Reid, we don't give him enough credit for the play caller that he is, because he really might be the greatest play caller in NFL history. Because, now granted, is Patrick Mahomes a one kind of a QB that despite playing on one ankle, he can make every single throw every single time? Yes. But they traded away Tyreek Hill, and their offense got
better. Would you say better? Would you say better?
Better.
That's why we can talk about this. I want to talk about it. That's why you gotta trade some of those pieces, Mac. You gotta trade. Do I hear a little bit of trade Nick Chubb? You gotta trade some of these pieces.
Different.
You gotta trade some of these pieces.
No, we're not doing that.
You gotta trade some pieces,
bro.
Because look at the Tennessee Titans.
What about them?
They got rid of AJ Brown. They got their picks out of it. And the offense got worse.
That's true.
And AJ Brown,
they thought Treylon Burks
kind of workhorse that the Browns have with Nick Chubb.
Yeah.
And one thing I do want to talk about, and I do want to touch on. So Jalen Hurts, and his style of quarterback play. Why the hell can't Deshaun Watson do that? I think it's really, now granted, I do think a little bit of it is just, again, getting Deshaun's feet wet. I understand that. It's his first couple games back in the league. But next year, he needs to be let off the leash, and he needs to be told, hey, if you don't see it in 2 reads, just go. Take off. Because what Jalen Hurts does for his offense and his running ability, whether it's the designed runs, whether it's the quarterback sneaks, which, by the way, if you look at the offensive line, chef's kiss, an absolute wedge.
Beautiful. But again, will it help? Will it help Deshaun to be able to have some weapons like Hurts does? Because again, you got Dallas Goedert, you got Devonta Smith, you got AJ Brown, you throw in some Quez Watkins, a great running team.
They just need a field stretcher.
O-line? I mean, they don't just grow on trees. And you talk about Nick Sirianni. I think it's Steve Sarkisian, I think is the Steve. Is there OC there?
I don't know. There's a lot of
like
E's and I's.
There's a lot of
E's and I's. Yeah,
exactly. So it's like, what I mean. I believe that I believe that you could potentially see that with Deshaun Watson, especially if you get him some weapons that'll help out a lot. MC is not having it about the trading Nick Chubb.
Thank you.
You don't trade your best off. I'm just saying. It's possible. We see.
Well,
what
let me
Kansas City
leave
Kansas
you on
City.
one thing. Let me leave you on one thing. Okay. If data dictates the future, Kevin Stefanski has never had better than a bottom half passing team. His highest that he's ever done in terms of passing was with the Minnesota Vikings, and it was the 17th best passing offense in the NFL.
But look who his quarterback was, though, and look at who. I mean, come on, but this.
He had
just want some
Kirk Cousins
context. I want some context. That's all I'm asking
Stephon Diggs.
Yeah.
Adam Thielen.
Okay, but you're dealing with Case Keenum and Kirk Cousins. I mean, come on, you got Deshaun Watson now. You give a little bit offensive, a little flavor. I know no one wants to talk about the
no,
you give a little flavor.
Yeah,
that'll be much better. You saw what he did with Jacoby already.
That and looking at Andy Reid's offense, I think Kevin Stefanski needs to get his notepad out and let's see some extension of the run game. Now the run game's been great, but how about those screens? How about getting the ball out in space?
Yes.
So
Bird brings up a great point on Twitter. He says one meaning Tyreek Hill is a wide receiver and one is a running back, meaning Nick Chubb. Don't want to trade Nick Chubb, but it's worth a discussion. Shoulder shrug emoji. Bird gets it. It's worth the discussion. I'm just saying, don't close the door on
the
it.
only
if it's
way,
3 first-round picks, you're
shipping them three first?
Honestly, if it's two, I'm taking the deal. If it's two first.
Oh yeah.
I'm
you
taking it for 3. I'm taking it for 3.
No, you're not going to get that for a running back.
Picks?
You're not getting that for a running back.
Well, you're not getting
Sorry.
2 first-round picks for a running back.
Exactly.
Either. You're not even getting 1 first-round pick. So there's no point in trading.
Exactly. But I don't see the Nick Chubb trade happening.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Why does everybody want it? What did Nick Chubb do to you people?
People want to play Madden.
It's not what he.
People trying to play Madden with all these trades.
It's not what he's done.
I'm a Nick Chubb fanboy. Is that what it is?
It's not what Nick Chubb has done. It's about what he's about to get us. Okay, he's gonna get us a lot of picks and some good players. You got to re-up. You got to re-up when you got yourself a good quarterback. You got to re-up.
Okay. If you're gonna trade Nick Chubb, and people want to complain about who we've picked in the draft, are you sure you want to get them draft picks?
Yeah. That's true. We could
imagine trading LaDainian Tomlinson after the 2005 season.
That is something very sad, actually. That is very, very sad.
Do you guys hear that?
Do you guys hear that? I hear a little sound in the distance.
It's what the Buffalo heard.
I don't know what's worse, telling everyone I'm single because of choice or everyone telling me I look like a cop. This is Mac with what the Buffalo heard. Welcome back in National Hangover Day as the Super Bowl played yesterday. Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs hoisted their second Lombardi trophy in 4 years. Philadelphia fans are not too happy after the loss, which is why they started fires and were flipping cars hours before kickoff. Last week, washed-up recording artist and American Idol has-been, Kelly Clarkson, made headlines at the NFL awards ceremony after cracking a few jokes at the Browns' expense. She stated the team restored order for doing a bunch of dumb Brown stuff. After failing to get a laugh across America, many fans were shouting, "You had your chance, you blew it. Out of sight, out of mind. Shut your mouth, I just can't take it." Browns running back Nick Chubb voiced his pleasure last night after tweeting, "Tired of watching," during the Browns Super Bowl. Most fans can agree with Nick, considering he gets put in timeout every offensive third down. Lastly, giant congrats to former left tackle and the Hall of Famer Joe Thomas becoming a first ballot Hall of Famer. Thomas was well-deserving, considering his work ethic and impeccable on-the-field resume. Joe was stunned, though, when other Hall of Famers surprised him with the good news, considering that was the first time he's ever had talent surround him. This is Mac, what the Buffalo heard.
I like the fact that if you're single by choice,
yeah, man, you just gotta. I mean, at this point, you just gotta. You can't even look. But hello there.
Live from probation, Matty G. Live from prison. Oh man. the Twitter comments are popping off. We got a good conversation about if we need a running back or not to win.
So, Mac, my response to you about would you trade LaDainian Tomlinson after 2005 season? My answer is, why is his hand empty? I'm very concerned. What is that? What it comes down to is that what the two teams just put on last night is that running backs don't matter. The Browns are currently built to win in 1980. I hate being this way. I get Nick Chubb's your best offensive player, but I would also argue that's probably why the Browns don't win much. Is because they're built to win. Like, I hate being that way. You just saw a 7th round pick in this year's draft lead the team in rushing yards last night. And the two leading rushers last night were Kenneth Gainwell and Isaiah Pacheco. I hate being this way, but the Browns' biggest issue is that Dorsey built this team to win in 1980, and Barry never fixed it. The thing is like let's go and look back kind of how the Browns are built and compare them to both the Chiefs and the Eagles. The Browns' offensive line is not built for pass protection. It's built for run blocking. Like, if you look at the Chiefs' offensive line, they're all great pass blockers. Their run blocking is not great, but they have a franchise quarterback. So what they do, they design their offensive line around him. What the Browns did with their offensive line,
yeah, but they don't have a liability at left tackle. I mean, that's
no, they don't.
Different.
But exactly. But would you trade Nick Chubb for a left tackle then? Who's more? You cannot sit here and tell me right now that Nick Chubb is more valuable than a franchise left tackle. You're too smart of a football.
He definitely is.
No, he's not. No, he's not.
You can get away with a top 15 left
So
tackle.
if you call Kansas City right now and say we'll give you Nick Chubb for Orlando Brown Jr., they're hanging up. They're not making that trade. It's as simple as that. I hate being this. I have the Nick Chubb hanging in my room. At the end of the day, this is basically what the Browns are in. They're 2 to 3 years away from winning anything. That comes down to partially coaching. The roster is not as good as we made it out to be. They don't have the receiver talent at the skill positions because, quite frankly, either you need Mahomes to make up for their talent because you've only seen a guy like Mahomes do that, or look at Burrow. He has 3 Pro Bowl level receivers. Jalen Hurts, 2 All-Pro level receivers. The Browns don't have much receiver talent outside of Amari. DPJ is a solid 3. In the modern NFL, he's probably more of a 4. If you look at this, the Browns are built to win.
Okay, he was a little bit away from being a 1,000-yard receiver. The fact they call him a wide receiver 4, that's just ignorant.
In terms of talent, like, let's also talk about like usage rates. In terms of usage rates, anyone with DPJ's usage rate would probably have had his numbers. And I'm saying this as one of those things. Like, I am a DPJ fan, but if you look at the Browns roster. And this is a mistake by New,
and that's the difference between the Browns and those two teams. They can't create any spacing.
Yeah,
so
because they built their entire team around a running back.
Yes,
they built their entire team around a running back. Nobody respects the Browns' passing offense because they've completely designed it around.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
The thing is, people say you use the run to set up the pass. It hasn't worked. Teams just stack the box against the Browns. Go back and watch the Chiefs game, the Chiefs playoff game in 2021. The Chiefs had 10 guys in the box and 1 safety 10 yards out. They
were running press man coverage because nobody could beat them over the top.
Exactly.
That's completely different.
Matty B says from Twitter that the Browns were dead last in separation in 2022. And B Bird says that Matty G is spitting.
Yeah, so. They don't like. I hate being.
It doesn't.
So if I was Andrew,
if you had Jakeem Grant this year, the offense would have looked totally different.
Awesome. A 5th-string receiver is going to save the season. Awesome.
Because it's not at that point. It's not about volume protection. I mean, if you look at so the Chiefs, all year and in the Super Bowl, were they heavy on Kadarius Toney? Were they heavy? Oh,
that's a good point, Mac. That's a good point.
Scantling, or do they just need speedy guys to get 30 catches in a season?
They also have Patrick Mahomes. And you're also forgetting Travis Kelce, who at this point is more of a wide receiver than a tight end.
Is unguardable, virtually
he's
unguardable.
Still a wide receiver 1, correct.
Matty G's racking up the follows right now.
What separates those teams from the Browns is that the Browns don't have any speed offensively. So they can't create an extension.
Exactly. Part of the reason is they have $12.5 million in a running back. They're getting to a point where like they 12.5. When you look at the percentage of cap that Deshaun Watson is taking up, which we can debate that contract all over the place. $12.5 million is too much to have in a running back when you have two guys on the roster. Like, for example, I love how all people don't talk about how Nick Chubb isn't the only running back on the Browns whose career yards per carry average is 5 yards a carry. Jonas Johnson, I think, is 4.8. You've seen what he can do with a high usage rate. In 2021, he nearly had 600 yards.
That's not even fair.
How is it not fair?
Especially considering because it's the low volume. So go on any NFL stats and you go yards per carry. Jonas Johnson won't show up because he doesn't have enough carries.
True.
Yeah, exactly.
True.
So give him more and pay him nothing.
True.
And then you don't end up with Nick Chubb level like production.
But Mac, that's fine though.
If prediction, Mac gets you 7 wins.
Exactly. If you give me some wide receivers,
Mac, like at this point, Nick Chubb is almost like, so this is kind of what we're getting to. Nick Chubb is almost becoming like, he's almost like a circus act. You go and see him for the entertainment. He doesn't contribute to wins at this point. You don't win because of Nick Chubb.
Mac
Even though he's been the heart and soul of the offense since 2020.
Yeah, I was gonna say Mac has that crazy stat that what is it, Mac? When Nick Chubb has more than 20 touches or something like that, we're like 20-1.
It happened one time that the Browns won without Nick Chubb's 20 touches.
Mm-hmm. And was that I would think that was the Commanders game when Deshaun Watson went off.
No, it was I think it was Houston. Because it was the punt return. And
yeah. So
you look at and I said this earlier. Kevin Stefanski has never had above. I mean, his best season in terms of a passing offense was with the Minnesota Vikings, and it was still 17th in the league.
Yep.
Yeah. And to kind of flip this,
and first year head coach did better with Kirk Cousins. And pretty much the same. Like it's let's go ahead and just push all of our chips into the passing offense. It's not going to get you. It's not going to get you anywhere.
Exactly, and that's segue into my next point before I got to return back to the Chow Hall. Basically, if you look at if you look at last night, the other takeaway, the other big thing I took away from this, Kevin Stefanski's not the guy, and what I think makes this immeasurably worse.
That's where I stopped.
There's nobody to replace him.
Yeah. Okay, I like that line. I like that line.
Like the thing is like what the reason why the Browns are in a horrible position is I can go through and I think there's numerous changes that need to be made, but there is not a better alternative. In many ways, you can argue that they're in the worst position that you can possibly think of for a football team. They're 7-10, and as much as people will be like, "Oh, they're 3 or 4 plays away from being 11 wins," they're also 3 or 4 plays away from being 3-14, 4-13. I mean, they are realistically. Let's go back. Cade York misses that 58-yard field goal, and that's 1 win right there. You could say the Baltimore game, Tyler Huntley plays slightly better. They probably win. The Commanders game, the Commanders keep the same game plan that they had in the second half, and they win. That's 3 more losses right there. You have 4 wins. The only two games the Browns truly went out and won from start to finish were the Bengals game on Halloween and the Texans game. Outside of that, if you look, they're not a complete football team. Like
Bert
I hate being this way, but like it's getting to a point where I'm starting to think that they made the wrong decision trading for Deshaun Watson, and they just should have blown it up last year, and they should have completely restarted the contention window, because this is kind of what's going on. And I think to kind of put a bow on this, they are still paying for the mistakes of 2019 and 2018 when you try to see them combine 2 or 3 styles into one kind of weird, like mutant offense, and you're still paying for those mistakes. And it's unfortunate, but I think if they don't make the playoffs next year, it's time to restart the clock. As much as it sucks and as painful it's going to be, some things are necessary.
Go ahead, Christian. Talk to him, Christian. Talk to him.
I think a lot of our issues, we keep talking about how bad the offensive scheme looks, but I think a lot of our games were lost on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, we were averaging like 24 with a backup quarterback midway through the season, and then
they didn't win though
because our defense was allowing 30. It felt like
scored 30. Then I saw 2 scheme scores 30 last night.
Yeah,
The Chiefs dropped 38 points on the top defense in the league. Christian, the bar's raised. 24 points is not good enough anymore.
I'm just saying, like, okay, you're allowing each
Lock
week
him up.
your defense
Lock him up.
is
Send him
Lock him
back.
up. Lock him up.
allowing
Lock him
the
up.
most
Send him back.
yards.
No more free Matty G.
Like,
Send him
Well,
back.
Well,
Go back to that
Return
Chargers
to
game. Go back to
sender.
that Chargers game. And okay, they hadn't had much of a running game going on at all. And Austin Eckler goes for like 175 yards on us. It was like something absurd. Like he had his best
Yeah.
game. They had their best.
And you
rushing
also forget
game of the
Jacoby Brissett threw a horrible interception that cost them the game. If you look at
Because
if
they
you
didn't want
just
to run
hold the-
inside the goal line, or you like every 3 handoffs, it's a Nick Chubb touchdown inside the goal line.
Like Nick
But yet
Chubb had
you wanted
12
to pass it.
carries, like 134 yards or something like that. He was
Yeah.
averaging like 8.2 yards per carry or something. It was an absurd stat for him, and they just stopped running him.
Yeah,
And I don't know why.
they just
like-
stopped.
But anyways, going back to the defense, so they just allowed Austin Eckler and their backup running back just to run all over us, and Justin Herbert didn't even look that good, and they still won.
That's true.
Can we just take that
also,
heady- thank you for changing
also,
it.
Bird says, don't forget about the
Look at
Njoku catch, Matty G. When you talk
Exactly.
about if he would have dropped
That's
that,
what I
that
was
would have been a loss too.
That's 'cause I
Which
was
is a very good point. Which is a very, 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 very good point because
and I hate being that way, but the NFL is a game of inches. The Browns are closer to having the first pick. The Browns are closer to having the first pick in the draft than they are to hoisting the Lombardi Trophy. It's an unfortunate fact.
John Maine says, I thought I was a pessimist.
That
Well, you know what?
farthest
And let
away.
me encourage everybody. Okay, first and foremost, because again, this is where I do disagree with Matty G a little bit. Because again, when we're talking about play calling and things, Andy Reid. We just talked about Andy Reid being one of the greatest play callers in NFL history.
That's who wins,
I'm
though.
sorry. And also, we're not like them. Also, Patrick Mahomes is under center. Patrick Mahomes is one of the greatest quarterbacks who ever was talented quarterback in NFL history. I'm sorry. But listen, you get some weapons for Deshaun Watson next year, and you don't think Kevin Stefanski can't make a little something happen? Turn some water into
I
wine?
don't.
I mean, my
don't.
goodness. I mean, it's just embarrassing to talk about this kind of
But
stuff.
they don't need to create that much, and that's the crazy part about it. Because
Chubb-
if you just if you just take the same offensive roster and add 2 more speedy guys, and instead of trying to run orbit motion with Demetric Felton and Schwartz, why don't we have a couple of speedsters that can create some yards after catch? That's all this
Give me some
offense
yak.
needs. It's not that far behind. Combine that with Deshaun Watson using his legs. I mean, the guy's got wheels. Why not use them?
I mean,
Philadelphia did with Jalen Hurts. Look
Yes,
what that got them.
yes.
That got them into the
Roll
Super
them out.
Bowl.
Roll them out.
Outside of one drive, the Philadelphia offense was pretty damn good, and that's because they have a dual threat at QB. So there's no reason why the Browns.
All right.
Now, I fully believe, and here's going to be the difference between them, making it into the playoffs next year or not. And it's just they got to just let everything go.
Yeah.
In terms of running Nick Chubb, running Deshaun Watson, and getting the ball into some playmakers' hands. This offense is 1 or 2 pieces away. The defense, different story.
Different story. Offense. Matty G, thank you so much for stopping by.
I'll see
Lock
you.
them up.
Lock them up. We're locking Matty G back up. Matty G, have a good one and enjoy some basketball.
Go Cavs.
Go Cavs.
Go
Celtics.
Cavs. Go Cavs.
So I do want to.
You say go Cavs?
I do. I said. Go
Oh!
Celtics. I let it
say
sit
go
for a second. I let it sit for a second. I let it sit for a second.
I'm flipping it.
But I can't.
I'm
listen.
flipping it.
But I do want to touch on this because Bird makes a great point. He says Kevin has to prove it on Twitter. B Bird said that. But I do want to touch on this point by Devil Dog Pound. Do you think that Andy Reid praising Eric Bieniemy was just smoke, or did Eric Bieniemy really have an impact on that game plan? That is a fantastic question, and I'll answer that. What I think personally, it seems to me as though there's a lot of players, for the Kansas City Chiefs, and a lot of coaches. Eric Bieniemy has been trying to get a job in the NFL, head coaching or whatever, for I don't know. I feel like 2 or 3 years now. It seems like. And so for this situation to come out and just say on the podium and kind of say it was Eric Bieniemy has a big part of it, I think they really want him to get a job. I don't want to say that Eric
Yes.
Bieniemy doesn't mean anything. I do believe he's important in the play calling. But I do want to say that, hey, it seems as though they're trying to push for him to get a job. Would you say that? Would you guys say that?
Absolutely. Because, you know, not saying that Eric Bieniemy isn't a good offensive coordinator, because, you know what I mean?
Yes.
He's an offensive coordinator and the offense is pretty good. So, you know, by the transitive property, he's got to mean something to him, right? The problem with Eric Bieniemy is that he has one of the worst reputations as a coach in the NFL. I mean, you know, just his arrest records alone, it's pretty insane. You know, got into a bar fight with a teammate, you know, assaulted a firefighter, arrested again for groping a female parking attendant, arrested for a DUI charge, you know, illegal recruiting practices. I mean, this is when he was a player and a coach at Colorado State.
True.
You know, now granted, has he turned his life around? Apparently, but this is just the stuff that's known and on public record. What else is out there about Eric Bieniemy? And you know, considering the and you know, I don't mean to be this harsh, because I'm sure that some of these guys are good people, but with the amount of idiots that have been hired as a head coach in the NFL, he must have just really made a horrible impression with these guys, because you can't even chalk it up to a certain thing, because it's kind of like a, you know, kind of messed up cocktail, you know, that I would describe it, because it's a couple of factors, you know, and I think that's Andy Reid just giving him a bone and just saying, hey, you know, I fully endorse this guy, because that's what Eric Bieniemy needs, and that's one of the only things that's going to get him a job.
Yeah,
so he needed that.
Matty B from Twitter, Twitter user Matty B says, I think Eric Bieniemy is the architect, but Andy calls the plays. I would agree about that. I agree to that to some extent. Sometimes you got to be careful, like you're saying, Mac. You got to be careful with some of these sort of assistant coaches versus the head coach. I mean, people have been trying to pick off that Patriots tree with Bill Belichick for 10 years now. You just see Josh McDaniels. I don't know how many jobs he's gotten, and then he finds his way back to New England all the time. Matt Patricia. You see so many guys. You see so many guys in that coaching tree that people try to pick off, and you realize it's just, at the end of the day, it's just Bill Belichick, right? It's just his mind. It's just the way that he handles things, and the way that he constructs, things in that organization. So
you guys want to hear a hot take on the whole Super Bowl game?
Go ahead.
Sure.
Andy Reid wanted to put it to the Eagles.
I don't know if that's really. I don't know if that's really a hot take. I feel like a lot of people in the Philadelphia area kind of knew that Andy Reid kind of wanted to get back at Philadelphia, because they were just upset with him.
They replaced him with Chip Kelly.
Exactly. Because they thought they were like, you have Donovan McNabb, Terrell Owens, Todd Pinkston, Brian Westbrook. You got all these guys on offense, and you had a great defense with Brian Dawkins as well. Jeremiah Trotter.
Part of it was, you know, Donovan McNabb, you know, showed up to the Super Bowl drunk.
Yeah.
So you know, I mean that man. You know, I talk about, you know, being hungover, but my God, I mean Donovan McNabb was pretty much throwing up before the game. Charlie Weiss. Ooh.
I forgot about Charlie Weiss. Also, Romeo Crennel from the Patriots tree. Thank you so much, Andrew, for that. That's very true. That's very true. John says Cavs are up 34-19 after one quarter. So,
hey,
let's go.
Let them know.
Let them know. But you know, I think that Andy Reid it felt good for Andy Reid, right, to come back and beat Philadelphia. I think that was the team that the fans said he can't win a Super Bowl and things like that. It's just weird. I know a lot of fans right now are just upset about that, because it's like, you couldn't win a Super Bowl here, but you can win a Super Bowl there. But it's like, hey, you have one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time under center, and that's going to help. Which, by the way, Patrick Mahomes, alert, I just want you guys to know, but Patrick Mahomes was not injured. Okay, during the Super Bowl, he does this weird thing. He does this weird thing where he acts like, if it's a little stinger, he'll act like it hurts, and then just hobbles around.
The fat dad hobble?
Yeah, the fat dad hobble, and then all of a sudden he scrambles for 20 yards, and he's perfectly fine. Patrick Mahomes wasn't injured,
bro.
No,
dude, it's that shot. It's that miracle shot they got. Bro, I'm telling you, it's like when Aaron Rodgers got hurt and they gave him that shot and he started playing out of his mind.
Yes,
that's exactly what
tore it all. Like, he's straight
Sounds
up.
impressive. I think they should just start giving all players that before the game, even if they're not hurt. Just send them out there.
Yeah, no, that's not a good thing long term. That's they're actually pretty sparse with those cortisone shots. I
don't know much about it. I'm not a doctor, but
I would talk.
Hot take. I think they should allow them to take steroids. I think they should allow them to take steroids.
Not at all. That's a horrible idea, bro.
No, you would get better fights. You would get peak performance.
Okay.
Horrible,
Hey, Christian. Why don't we ask the actual scientists of the group? Scientist Manny, what do you say about steroids?
You're gonna see a breakdown of injuries. Listen,
most of them take them anyways.
Do you really want to see Jason Kelce with one arm flinging Myles Garrett? I don't.
If Jason Kelce's taking them, then definitely Myles Garrett's gonna take them.
Yeah,
if it's legal. Myles Garrett would be
Myles Garrett does not need that, man. Myles Garrett does not need that at all.
Myles Garrett's
He already has.
He would tear a muscle. He doesn't have any muscle fat on him as it is. He'd blow out a bicep doing a rip.
No, I'm just joking about the steroids thing. But that'd be just so funny
because
the fights would be 10 times better.
Yeah,
so many fights, it would be funny.
I do want to. I kind of want to. Carter's own shots are terrible for you, Matty B says. I do. I do have a question. I really do have a question. I kind of wanted to. Andrew says that Patrick Mahomes was limped off the field, but was walking fine in the tunnel. That again, everyone sees it. It's clear as day. He was not injured. He was whatever. But I do want to switch gears to another question that I've been talking with my family members and things like that. And there are people who've been talking about it on Twitter. Should the NFL ban the QB getting pushed forward on 3rd and short? You saw that a lot with the Eagles. I think they converted something like 7 or 8 first downs by simply creating a QB sneak where AJ Brown and Sanders or either Gainwell was pushing Jalen Hurts forward. I don't know if the NFL is going to ban that. I don't know if they're going to let it go. But should you? I know what my opinion is on that. I don't know. Christian, I want to kind of hear what you have to say first and foremost, because again, it's a great play. It's football, but should you ban that move?
No. How soft are we going to get? This is like the most intense play because you're having everybody line up just face to face. It's like nine straight across, and they're just all in there just battling it out. No, they need to actually endorse pushing. I think they should start at 1 and 10th and just start pushing the quarterback forward.
Cry.
Yeah, Mac. Cry.
That's what I tell these people. Cry. Okay. Football, when it was built like rugby, and it was deemed one of the most violent sports in all of history. That's what the U.S. presidents were talking about. There was actual petition to ban, this sport. Now, it's evolved and it's been a little bit safer. But that's how this game was started. Putting your big boy pants on in the trenches and moving people. Okay. If you're, oh my God, oh no, he's falling forward. Well, push him back. Push him back. As a defensive, you're as a defensive lineman, it's just disrespectful if you're going to sit here and cry because, the QB got pushed 2 yards. Well, push him back, dude. That's what you're built for. You're told as a player to line up on the line of scrimmage and take that guy that's in front of you and push him back. So what does a QB how does that do any different? Why don't you and a guy that any other time I would praise him. But Chris Jones got absolutely worked yesterday. And you want to know why?
Yeah.
Because the entire Philadelphia Eagles pad level was at his knees and he was standing straight up.
Yep.
You want to stop this, then get lower than the guy in front of you. That's the whole point of the game. Low man wins. It's all about leverage. So if you want to stop it, get under some pad level, man. I don't understand the outcry about this. The whole point of the game is advancing the football. So
yeah, I will say this. I do want to say this because I hate to give any pushback for any reason. You have to look at it from a different point of view. If you're lined up with seven hog mollies up front, right, and you're in a set in which okay, you have a tight end or 3 tight ends, a quarterback, running back, and then you kind of have a forcible forward motion where you're pushing your quarterback forward, and the defense doesn't know if it's going to be a fake or not. So I mean, maybe it's the defense's fault, like you're saying, Mac. I mean, you should just get big, eat some protein or whatever. But it seems to me that the defense is at a little bit of a different disadvantage because they have corners pushing defensive linemen, and if they don't get a good push up front, you could.
Yeah, but you're running goal line package at that time. There's nobody split out wide. They're running a full house formation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where they have a quarterback and then usually tight end, fullback, running back. So do you maybe want to have a corner out there? But those defensive backs, they're playing contain on that. They're sitting on the line of scrimmage outside of whoever's on the line there, and what they're doing is they're making sure that play doesn't happen where they pull the ball or they pitch it outside or something because they're running contain. It's the name of the game here is just making sure all gaps are covered and just getting lower. Because that's all it is. It's just you got to play better goal line defense. And if you're worried about somebody pushing a quarterback, then you're not doing your job in the first place.
But would they ban that because of a case of actually creating more injuries? Like is there any more injuries?
No, not injuries. Now they have talked about this in the past. It's kind of crazy how it was just kind of forgot about.
Right.
But for a while now, and it was to my knowledge, at least in the state of Ohio and Division III in the NCAA, but it was illegal to push the running back. So this isn't something that's like
that's brand new. This is something that's happened before.
Yeah, exactly. And they've now granted they didn't call it back, but there was a referee in college that had warned us, hey, you can't push the QB in. And I was like, okay, well, are you going to take the touchdown off the board? And they kept it on. So yeah.
I honestly, they probably don't want to ban that. I think you're right, Mac. You kind of want to move the ball forward, but it kind of seemed like it was an idea just because of how well it worked. Yeah. That's what the problem. Why you know what I mean? They couldn't stop it at all, and that's just the Philadelphia Eagles offensive line. They're big. They're big boys up front. Jordan Mailata, Kelsey, and Lane Johnson. Right. Yeah. Yes. Exactly.
They were all on the same, the way how they were just synchronized in terms of there was no space in between them.
Oh yeah.
And they were all at the same level, shooting forward at the same exact time. It was, I can't even describe it. It was just so beautiful. I mean, now granted, I used to play offensive line, so that to me,
that is beautiful to you.
Fulfilled me. And it was probably one of the coolest things that I can remember. I would say top 10 in terms of Super Bowls I've watched. Top 10 coolest thing.
Yeah. I want to move on to a hot discussion that Matt kind of sparked on Twitter. It's been a lot of Browns fans are kind of split on this. What do we need on the defense? Whether it be a free safety, or strong safety, which one is needed more? I know you guys feel very strongly about this, so I'm gonna ask you guys. I want to let you guys take the floor. What's more important for the Cleveland Browns? Would you want your free safety or do you want your strong safety? Christian, go ahead.
Get me Jimmy Ward on this team now. That is all I want in this offseason, besides a bunch of defensive tackles and edges and a winning season. And other than all that, get me Jimmy Ward on the team now because the dude is a dog. Go back and watch his tape for San Fran. He is a certified head-hunting safety, and I love it. And he can get the ball too. He out there.
He's 31. That's why he's 31. He's 31. He's a little up there in age. He's
don't matter. He can also play go slot, look at his tape.
But he can also play slot. That's
true. And Greg Newsome, we're all aware that Greg Newsome doesn't want to play slot.
Okay. After this, let's talk about that trade scenario.
Okay.
That a lot of people are talking about. We'll talk about that after.
Yeah. So it's pretty crazy the backlash that I got on this, just simply because it was just something that I kind of thought about in the back of my mind. You see these now. Granted, everybody's entitled to an opinion, but there's a lot of mock drafts I see out there, a lot about free agency ideas to where top pick or top money going to a free safety. Okay. Now, here's the thing. There's more needs on that defense than free safety. And you have technically a free safety on your team. I mean, Grant Delpit played most of his snaps at free safety. And the back 9. So here's me reading off the tweet. Back 9 games for Grant Delpit. 42% completion percentage allowed. Only 110 yards given up. 3 picks. So why not, you have a guy that's leading the team in turnovers, and you have a guy that's playing a high percentage at free safety. He showed that he can roam, and he definitely has the closing speed. What's easier to get out there? Free safety or strong safety? You can find a guy that can play in the box and is physical. Okay. It's very hard to find a top 15, coverage guy that can roam on your defense. So why not just let Grant be Grant, the guy that he was scouted for? Because does everybody forget the 2020 scouting report? Grant Delpit was going to be the free safety. Then he got injured, and then we had the Andrew Sandeo show. Okay, that was Grant Delpit's spot. The reason why J.J. Threw was brought in because they're like, hey, this dude's coming off an Achilles injury. We got to ease him into it. So we can't let him be the last line of defense. Now, Grant improved his tackling, so a lot of people were like, oh, I guess he's a box safety now. No, he's not. He's a coverage guy. He's always been a coverage guy. So why not you have him and then get a cheaper strong safety so you can donate the higher picks and the more money to holes that are more important? Because here's the thing. Who would you rather have? A top 10 free safety or a top 10 edge rusher? I'm taking edge rusher. I'm taking edge rusher because guess what the Browns did this last offseason? They were like, oh, we'll just build our defense from the secondary down. Where'd that get you? Where did building your defense from the secondary down get you? It looks one of the worst run defenses in the league last year.
Yes, but it looked sexy when Jamar Chase was locked up, though. It gave us some confidence going into the offseason. I do want to say Bird says Ward does not want to play slot and Newsome shouldn't play slot. He's an outside corner. You know what? Doesn't Schwartz with having the acquisition of Jim Schwartz, what do you think this defense will kind of shift toward? Would you think it would be more strong safety? Or do you think he'll address the elephant in the room and say, okay, you know what?
He's going to have these guys play more man anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
you're gonna have to have good corners.
He loves 2-man under. He's not a big fan of playing off the line of scrimmage. And I think that's what a lot of these issues with, playing in the slot is, blitzing corners, which by the way, as a corner, wouldn't you want to blitz? Wouldn't you want a free hit at the quarterback? I don't get that. I don't get that. No.
Some people don't want to hit.
But
And to Drew's point, I have not ignored the linebacker position. I've been very heavily on the Jack Campbell campaign. I need that in the third.
Why don't we just resign one of the great linebackers that we had this year?
I want them all back. I just want Jack Campbell too.
We had a fantastic stretch at linebacker this year.
Well, I just don't think that they're going to be able to bring back everybody in the linebacker. I think they'll bring back Talkie. I think they'll bring him back. I think they'll bring back Awak. I think Deion Jones is gone.
You think so?
I would like to keep him, but I think he's going to want too big of a contract.
A bump, yeah.
Well, I mean, who are you playing at will? JOK or
True.
Or Deion Jones? You're going to play JOK.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So
Bird is saying no and laughing. What do you mean by no, Bird? I don't need you. I don't know what you're saying no to.
Like Jack Campbell.
I think he's saying no to Jack Campbell, but I will. You know what? But it's important. it is imperative that the defensive line, in my opinion, that the defense, if you're talking defense, because I still think it's wide receiver, that's the most important thing, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah, field stretcher, absolutely.
I want, listen, shout out to OBJ. OBJ's still out there, but anyway, I'm not going to talk about that. But the defensive line, I truly believe, needs to be the first thing that's addressed on the defensive side of the ball. I do believe overall the most important thing, the Super Bowl showed you. The Eagles had one of the best defensive lines, not in the NFL this year, in NFL history. 4 starting defensive linemen with 10 plus sacks. And look where that got you. That got you a Super Bowl loss. But look where the freaking Kansas City Chiefs got with all those weapons. All those weapons. They re-upped. So I think that's where you need to go. With the
get yards after catch.
Well, to be fair, the turnover, like the fumble for a touchdown, that kind of helped out Kansas City.
That did. So, that really did. But again, that was a Jalen Hurts mistake. That wasn't anything the defensive line
and also,
did.
one thing I noticed in that second half is the Chiefs were getting the ball out 10 times quicker that second half.
They were.
Because they had explosive guys in space.
Yeah, they were.
We're talking about Kadarius Toney
creating separation.
MVS
that
versus
quick.
Anthony Schwartz and Demetric Felton.
Bird was saying, actually disagreeing with what you said, Mac. Bird was saying that I actually played corner, and corners mostly want to cover. That's why Jalen Ramsey is so special, because he's a monster in the run game. That's what makes Jalen Ramsey a little bit different from everybody else. I will admit, because corners do like to cover. And again, if you play, we'll take that into consideration, because I think one of the best things, and what do these corners brag about, right? What do these corners brag about? You saw the same thing with Jimmy Ward and talking about AJ Brown and Devonta Smith before the Super Bowl. They brag about being able to cover guys. That's one of the, you know what I mean? Just be able to lock down mano a mano when you're one guy. But if you get the chance to blast somebody up in the backfield, like a Reggie Bush or something like that, you get to blow, you know what I mean? So I think it'd be great. I think that's, I was going to say something crazy. That's why I was going to say.
But anyway, so something that kind of just came across my mind here, and I feel like I've mentioned this before, either to our group chat or on the pod. Yeah. I think this offseason, can we see what Jerome Ford can do? Because we talk about, hey, this offense needs more speed. Well, he has that burst. So why not see if this guy can catch out of the backfield? Why not give him some screens, some swing passes? Because again, what makes those offenses different from the Browns offense is that the Browns offense couldn't make plays in space. So when the passing game couldn't get going, and the running game was too bogged up, they had no other outlet. So I'd kind of like to see. Jerome Ford's fast. He has that burst. He's shown us on tape that he has that burst. So why not? I mean, you're not going to put Nick Chubb on the field for third down, so why not trot Jerome Ford out there and see what he can do?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good point. We have the options, but again, get yourself a wide receiver.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm so glad everybody's seeing it my way. Jalen Hyatt 42. You know what? I'm sick and people are talking to me so much like they don't want some good wide receivers. Deshaun
He got speed you can't teach. He got speed you can't teach, man.
Thank you. And the Pittsburgh Steelers, look at the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're low key under the radar, re-upping. They sent Juju and they sent Chase Claypool out of here. Now they have the Chicago Bears first round pick essentially, and they got themselves some George Pickens, some Pat Freiermuth coming off the end. I mean, they're re-upping here, and we haven't even seen Calvin Austin III because of the injury. So there's on the low key. And if the Baltimore Ravens actually pick up a wide receiver, if the Baltimore Ravens actually keep Lamar and pick up a wide receiver, we have a gigantic problem in the AFC North.
So can we talk about how hilarious Lamar's contract situation is? Can we talk about how funny that is?
Yeah.
Lamar said, okay, if you like me that much, give me that guaranteed money that Joe Burrow's going to get, Herbert's going to get, Sean already got.
Oh yeah.
So he wants that, and the Ravens are like, hey, we like you, but we don't love you. So and here's my thing, and everybody's going to get all upset because here comes Mac with the Lamar Jackson hate. But the Baltimore Ravens don't believe that he's a franchise quarterback.
Oh, they don't.
Because if they did, they would have paid him.
They're showing you.
Yeah.
They're showing. You know what?
So those are their words, not mine.
And Mac, you know something. If you ever have a friend in a relationship with a young lady, right, and she doesn't post you on the gram at all or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And it's just, it gets a little weird. It doesn't talk about you. Doesn't want to go out on any dates. She's showing you. She doesn't want to be with it. She's showing. So that's why I'm saying it's a clear thing. We're all reading the book. We're all reading the script. We all see the script. They don't want Lamar. Right, and if they do want Lamar, they want him for the low price. Right, they don't want to give him all that guaranteed money because they saw what happened the past 2 seasons. At the end of the season, he hurt himself. Got hurt.
Ship him to the NFC. Get him out of the.
Get him out of here. Send him to the NFC. Send him to the NFC. Send him to the NFC.
Send him to Detroit. They already have a killer run
Lamar
game.
to Detroit. That would be so scary.
I mean, he's playing in a dome for half his season.
Yes, and then you also get a little extra one because Minnesota's in a dome. You know what I mean? And Chicago might be in a dome later on. You know what I mean? If he's playing in the NFL for that long, but I mean, he probably won't.
And they have the explosive weapons. Amon St. Brown. What's his face? Alabama wide receiver. He was hurt most of the year.
Jameson Williams.
Jameson Williams.
You got Jameson Williams. Can't even give her to Jameson Williams. Didn't even really play a snap. So
DJ Chark.
DJ Chark's over there. Well,
they got to bring him back. They got to bring him back.
Future Cleveland
By the
Brown.
way, AB, give him a ring.
They got to
see what Mr. Shark is doing.
They gotta bring him back. And so my final question that I really have really quickly for you guys is: do you see this is really everyone's doing it pretty much because it's just the thing to do when the football season just ends, but extremely early Super Bowl prediction for Super Bowl 58 next year in Las Vegas. Who do you guys have after the Super Bowl's over? Obviously, there are no moves really being made, but Derek Carr wants to go to a certain team. Does Derek Carr, Aaron Rodgers to the Jets? Does that change you guys? What's a Super Bowl kind of prediction? And I know Christian's going to say the Browns. I know Christian. I can see it. I can see it right now.
Don't say it.
He's going to say the Browns versus. He's going to say the Browns versus whoever.
I don't. I'm tired. Bro,
he's going to say Browns versus an NFC team.
Day is tomorrow. Can you just spare me, please? Love of God, do not talk about Super Bowl, Super Browns. I can't drink the Kool-Aid today. Not today.
Super Bowl.
Oh God.
Super Brad. No.
Throw up.
I'm gonna. The only way I'm gonna say the Browns got a shot at a Super Bowl is if we get Javon Hargraves or a Daron Payne. Once we get them, I'm bathing in the Kool-Aid. It's going to be nonstop fountains across America that I'm going to be planning because I'm going to be so hopped up on that Kool-Aid.
Okay, I'd take a sip.
Right now.
I'd take a sip. Not from your dirty bathwater, but I'd take a sip.
I'll take a sip of that.
Our water's clean from the mountains. Anyways, listen, I'm going to say this. It's going to be a very hot take.
Okay.
It's going to be the Lions.
The Lions?
Yes. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, okay. I was about to say the Lions.
I think the Rams are going to re-up, and I think it'll be the Rams versus the Chiefs.
Rams versus Chiefs. Okay. I mean, I don't know if the Rams need a lot of work. Right, they need a lot of work. That's why
dude, you gotta think they will ship out anybody. They'll ship out anybody to get anybody. They proved to me that cap is a myth. So anybody that complains about the cap number for the Browns, go look at Los Angeles. Go look at the Saints. They're about to go pay Derek Carr, and they're like $10 billion. They're in worse debt than America. Okay. And they're still out here making moves. So I'm tired of hearing about the cap because it's a myth.
MC says Browns versus San Fran. Man. And he also says because we have Nick Chubb. I think that's a slight of what we said earlier that what Matty G said. You can't go to the Super Bowl if you have you can't win a Super Bowl if you have.
The only way I'm trading Nick Chubb is if we get a haul that looks like a quarterback trade. That is the only way I'm okay with it. If we actually trade Nick Chubb, I think
we got to get a third team involved.
We got to get a third team trade. You got to get a lot. You got to get players in return.
If the Cavs don't get like like LeBron or KD in the trade, I'm not for it. Okay.
Okay. All right. Yeah. No.
Mm.
Sense.
I think you know what I do think that the Browns make it to the AFC Championship game with some of the moves that we'll make, but I do believe that we'll lose to the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, we are witnessing. I think we've all been pretty young when Tom Brady was going to all those Super Bowls and three-peats and things like that. He was going like every other year since 2015. I think we're witnessing the same exact thing with Patrick Mahomes, because this was supposed to be the year where they let Tyreek Hill go, and they were supposed to just it's supposed to be a slow little re-up year, and they won the Super Bowl. So it's like, oh man, I mean, what can you possibly do to stop the creativity that they showed on this Super Bowl? They showed the world that they're one of the most creative offenses.
And I think a lot of it's they like to play together. And I think that's something else that a lot of teams like. Team chemistry is so important, and we overlook it so much. Like we're like, oh, we got to get this guy, we got to get that guy. But like, if they're not like willing to buy into whatever the coaches have to offer, then it's not going to work out.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I think that it's going to be very important. It's going to be imperative that you get some team chemistry for the Cleveland Browns. It's important for your star players to want to be in Cleveland and play and show that, hey man, I really want to be there. That's why I kind of like the TikTok from Deshaun Watson. Also, breaking news with the DeAndre Hopkins TikTok doing the exact same thing. Reading the script for 2024 or 2023 season. So we'll see how that goes. But again, that's right. Joe Thomas in the Hall of Fame is the biggest win for the Browns to have in 2023. Shout out and congratulations to Joe Thomas. We had not even done that yet. We have not done that. Congratulations to Joe Thomas for making the Hall of Fame. Just the GOAT. I mean,
the first offensive lineman ever.
I mean, he really is a stud. Shout out to Joe Thomas. I mean, I'm
so glad he didn't go poop on the GM's desk like Peyton Manning wanted him to.
Yeah. I'm so glad that he didn't either.
He probably should have. Let's be honest.
It's great.
He didn't deserve those next 2 seasons.
He did.
The Browns gave him.
He did not. He did not at all.
So, I wanted to give my prediction.
Yeah, go ahead. Give your prediction.
So, I do really think that it's going to be a rematch. 2019 Chiefs 49ers. To me, there's nobody in the AFC that are close to the Chiefs right now. Yeah. I think in terms of their offense, all they got to do is just make sure they keep a couple speedy pieces around. And everybody's pretty much like there's no real big contracts. And so. I think that they can easily make a return. In terms of the NFC, I would really want to say the Eagles, but since 2000, there's only been one team that's lost a Super Bowl and made it back, and that was Brady in 2017. He ended up winning the next year. Yeah. So that's never after Kansas City lost.
Oh, you mean back-to-back years?
Yeah. So. I really do think the 49ers, they literally have everything but quarterback. They were saying Brock Purdy can make a comeback. If he does, I think they won't miss a beat. But there's also there's a couple good free agency quarterbacks that can come in, and, Kyle Shanahan has proved that all he needs is a servable.
Yep.
Yeah. All he needs is a serviceable QB. All he needs is top 20. And he can absolutely run an offense. I mean, the fact that he's been to championship games and a Super Bowl with Jimmy G is just absolutely mind blowing. I mean, he made what's crazy to think, without Kyle Shanahan, there wouldn't even be talks of Matty Ice even looking at the Hall of Fame. So
a little bit of breaking news right now while we're on the pod. The Raiders are planning to release Derek Carr tomorrow before his $40 million becomes guaranteed by Ian Rappaport, which, depending on where he goes, because realize now
he's a Cali guy.
He didn't waive his no trade clause for obvious reasons, because the teams that the Raiders wanted to send him to, he did not want to go. So there's obviously a team or teams he's interested in. So we'll see where he goes.
Where do you guys think he goes?
Man,
I'm saying New Orleans.
San Francisco's got all the weapons. They got a defense. He's from Cali. Offensive-minded head coach.
Mac, that's the team that I was going to say. And the reason I'm going to say that is because Derek Carr probably understands I need to go to a situation where I can win now. And I think you can do that in San Francisco. I think if you ask fans, Brock Purdy or Derek Carr, you like Brock Purdy. You love what you saw, but you might want to get yourself a Derek Carr. And Derek Carr would love San Francisco.
But the thing is like Derek Carr could go to the Saints and have one of the easiest divisions in football.
That's true.
I mean, it don't have Tom Brady anymore, and they won like 6 games.
Right here.
Andrew did
so the last team that he had talked to was the Saints, and he turned the Saints down. So he's going to hit the free agency, and he's going to want a team that's I think it's really hard to say that he's going to go to the Saints after they've gotten so close to where they're talking contract, and and the team says no. So I doubt it, just simply because of that money interaction. Because especially when you're talking with teams, there's something in terms of money. That's a sensitive subject for some players.
Yeah, very.
Tampa could be a good spot.
Tampa can be
that division's garbage.
Yeah, that division is very garbage. If you go to that division, Didn't Tampa win that division with a losing record?
Yeah, like 7-10 or something like that.
Were they 7-10?
They weren't that bad.
It was like 8-9.
Because it was the first time that Tom Brady had a losing record in a season. I think it was almost positive as a starting quarterback. So if you go to the NFC South, that's a very winnable division, and you could be in the playoffs for the foreseeable future. You really can.
Because two teams are going to be picking quarterbacks in this draft, so you're going to be facing 2 rookies.
Right. And unless they show up, whether it's Bryce Young or
unless the Falcons want to ride it out with Ritter, I don't think they want to do that. So what were they, Matt? Did you look up the record or
they're 8-9.
8-9. Okay. So they were pretty bad, but again, it was injuries, and I know just a thing I just want to say that for the future, Tom Brady, people are going to compare his last season to that's of Michael Jordan on the Wizards and things like that. It's just like that was injuries. There was a lot of injuries on that team. I'm not saying that they would have won the Super Bowl, but it would have looked way better than expected if there weren't so many injuries on that team. I remember one week they basically didn't have their top 3 wide receivers. So, but again, we're going to see where Derek Carr goes. I'm sure he'll sign with a team before the end of the week because there's probably a team that he has in mind. So he just has to restructure and make sure that contract is right. And we'll see.
Sounds good. And I think that's a great way to end the episode. And
absolutely,
go Browns.
Go Browns.
Baby. Go
Browns.
Bird sucks!